Hey YouTube, CSM10495 here, and today we're going to be reviewing a little bit for the AP Government exam by going over Chapter 1, the study of American government. Let's kick right out by defining political power. Let's define it as, this is easy terms, just to make it completely understandable. It is the ability to get stuff done within government. Now, regular power is the ability just to get stuff done. So let's define power really quick, just to make sure everyone's understanding. It is the ability to, ooh, that's ugly, to get someone to act off your views. Okay, so I tell this guy to do something, and he does it. He does it because I have power at that point, and he's willing to act off my intentions. If there was no such thing as political power, a good estimate would be anarchy, no government, because without political power, there's no legitimacy anywhere. Legitimacy, let's define that while we're at it. Legitimacy is political authority conferred by a state. Anyway, that's the textbook right there. It's political authority given by government. Now, is this always had? When the government does something, does it? A good question to ask is it legit? And the correct answer is a little bit of a gray zone. Um, Perfect example, really, is executive orders, which were never really given as a power of the president. People can say indirectly it was inferred, but no, there's no real job or opportunity given as an executive order. So just keep that in mind. Let's keep moving along. Now, let's define democracy. In order to get into AP government class, you really should have known this, but hey, it's always good to get someone else to define stuff for you. So it is the rule or control, I'll even say, by many. We don't have a king. We have a lot of people controlling things. We say that everyone has power in America within democracy, but there are different types of democracies. Let's define the two major ones. First one is a direct democracy, and the second one is indirect. Direct is where all citizens participate directly. This means really everyone goes to vote and their vote counts one by one by one, which is not at all what we had. We have something called indirect, which really means representation. Now, we may directly elect representatives, but their votes in the end count more. Theoretically, we can all vote one way, and a representative votes the other way. Their opinion trumps ours. This doesn't usually happen, though, because of re-elections. And in order to get re-elected, you really do have to go with what the people say. So, in the end, it really comes down to one major question that everyone always argues about, and there really isn't a good answer. And the question really is, which is the best? It could go either way. It could really be indirect or direct. We in America, we've been using indirect for a long time. As shown by our Senate, House of Representatives, they vote for things in Congress for us. The president acts on his own. We don't have votes for every single thing that could possibly happen. The Greeks did, though, at one point, so you might see a question on where it came from. So hey, the Greeks, why not? Now let's move to this side of the document here. Is democracy self-interest? And I think that this really stems from indirect. Indirect democracies can lead to self-interest. Well, how, you ask? They can lead to it because you have less people in power, which also leads to elites in power. Elites, we'll get into that a little later, but for now, it's basically just someone above you or above others in status. Now, so indirects lessen power, uh, meaning that the elites have a chance to really, if they all think a certain way, which could be completely different from the populace, they can get their way. So, really, it's a lot more of a one opinion type game in that, all of a certain group, all politicians might think one thing, all politicians want this, and regular Joes, or regular people, wants this. And that's really where we get into self-interest. Politicians are self-interested. Politics is run by self-interest. When people vote for things, chances are they're not voting for best for them. I like to think the people are voting what's best for the people. However, those in Congress, they vote for self-interest a lot of the time. They're worried if they vote one way, their political pals will not like it, and, well, they're going to vote with their friends. So let's quickly define, let's see, why does political change occur? Now let's first define political change. That's basically a change in political view. Or even practice. Now, when or why does this happen? Well, I'm going to just put this really easily. Economic trouble. Some of the most acts ever passed were during the Great Depression. So economic trouble is really when there's, a lot of change. But why? Why? This is so obvious to me, but maybe not to you. So why? Because it affects so many people. When there's a Great Depression, a lot of people lose their jobs. When even there's a recession, we're just getting out of here. It really affects everyone. So people want change. People want things to be better for their neighbors, themselves, everything along those lines. So what does this really tell us about politics? Politics, in one word, is everything. In that it can really control everything. In whether through laws or enforcement, fines, it really does control everything. So let's see, what do people think of politics? What do people feel about what's going on? Well, let's open up a new quick page here. And there are different views. We have a class view. We have a power elite view. We have a bureaucratic view. I don't know how to spell. We have a bureaucratic view. And we have a pluralist view. Okay, let's talk briefly about each one. Class view is really the view that politics and, therefore the government is dominated or controlled by capitalists or those out for money. So therefore it's really just controlled by money. And, you can even think business or all of that really comes in here. Now, power elite view. Power elite view is the view that government is run by those at the top of the food chain. And that few of the people who actually control, few are outside of the government. Therefore, me, you, we don't actually have any control over the government, or very little even. We have voting, that's it. But remember, we're indirect, doesn't mean anything. Bureaucratic view. This really goes down to the idea that government is dominated by appointed officials, which, doesn't sound too bad. At least, hopefully the people who appoint them were voted in. So maybe, just maybe, our views will be mirrored. Now, the pluralist view. This is the view that we like to think is truly in charge. And by the way, if I ask which is in charge, there's really no real answer. You could argue any of them. So the pluralist view is the belief that competition, or hey, capitalism, capitalism in terms of economics, among all, affects policy most. Now, of course, there's some overlap with all of these, but really, I like to think we're pluralist because there, of course, is economic interest that does control things, but it's not really controlled by those people of economics. It's controlled by, buying, selling. All of that really has a huge, major role. Now, am I forgetting anything? Let's see. It always seems to be a common theme that the AP always goes back to this, what did the framers think? So I'll ask really quick, what did the framers want? And of course we don't know. They're not still alive to tell us. And when we say framers, we mean of the Constitution. What did they want? We believe that the framers wanted a representative democracy. And they also wanted decisions made by votes. So they really kind of wanted it almost in the middle. But let's think about it just a tiny bit. They want the representatives voted in, but they didn't want direct election. Why don't they want direct? They don't want direct or even forced voting because they know that because all don't know a lot about government. Hopefully the gov officials that we put in power know what's best. And of course, if the issue's big enough, the people will speak. But, for the most part, they make decisions for us. And, our opinions are supposed to reflect them, or the other way around, but do they really? They do to a certain extent, but only towards the end of one's term when they're looking for re-election. So, that's chapter 1 of the AP Gov textbook. Let me know what you think. It's my first time trying to do this. I'm actually testing out a little writing thingamajiggy here. That's why I started doing this. So anyway, CSM 10495 here, first chapter of American Government textbook. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.